guys, welcome back, bitches. I feel like it's been a minute. I got William right there. I got my lighter. But I haven't read my book, which I really feel like I've been distracted with work lately, and I haven't really taken time for like my goals and just some like good self-care, which I consider reading self-care. So treat this as a podcast and just listen along, relax. Yeah, I'm gonna read the book Think and Grow Rich. And it's very I've heard a lot of good things about this book. So let's get into it. The problem is where I left off, it's like he's giving an like referencing a story, which you guys are gonna hear names and be like, "Who the fuck is that?" Okay, so I'm gonna start. We are at the chapter called Desire, I believe. Desire, the starting point of all achievement, the first step to riches. In all my experience in dealing with men and women who had personal problems, I never handled a single case which more definitely demonstrates the power of desire. Authors sometimes make the mistake of writing of subjects of which they have but superficial or very elementary knowledge. It has been my good fortune to have the privilege of testing the soundness of the power of desire through the affliction of my own son. Perhaps it was a providential that the experience came as it did, for surely no one is better prepared than he is to serve. As an example of what happens when desire is put to the test, if Mother Nature bends to the will of desire, is it logical that mere men can defeat a burning desire? Strange and imponderable is the power of the human mind. We do not understand the method by which it uses every circumstance, every individual, every physical thing within its reach as a means of transmuting desire into a physical counterpart. Perhaps science will uncover the secret. I planted in my son's mind the desire to hear and speak as any normal person hears and speaks. That desire has now become a reality, and I planted it in his mind the desire to convert his greatest handicap into his greatest asset. That desire has been realized. The modus operandi by which this outstanding result was achieved is not hard to describe. It consisted of three very definite facts. First, I mixed faith with desire for normal hearing, which I passed on to my son. Second, I communicated my desire to him in every conceivable way available, through persistent, conscious effort over a period of years. Third, he believed me. Several years ago, one of my business associates became ill. He became worse as time went on and finally was taken to a hospital for an operation. Just before he was wheeled into the operating room, I took a look and wondered how anyone as thin and I don't know how to pronounce emaciated as he could possibly go through a major operation successfully. The doctor warned me that there was little, if any, chance of me ever seeing him alive again. But that was the doctor's opinion. It was not the opinion of the patient. Just before he was wheeled away, he whispered feebly, "Do not be disturbed, Chief. I will be out of here in a few days." The attending nurse looked at me with pity, but the patient did not come through safely. After all, it all was his physician said. Nothing but his own desire to live saved him. He never would have pulled through it if he had not refused to accept the possibility of death. I believe in the power of desire backed by faith because I have seen this power lift people from lowly beginnings to places of power and wealth. I've seen it rob and grave of its victims. I've seen it serve as a medium of which people staged a comeback after having been defeated in 100 different ways. I've seen it provided my own son with a normal, happy, successful life, despite nature having sent him into the world without ears. How can one harness and use the power of desire? This has been answered through this chapter and the subsequent chapters of this book. I wish to convey the thought that all achievement, no matter what the nature or purpose, must begin with intense, burning desire for something definite. Through some strange, powerful principle of mental chemistry, nature wraps up in its impulse of strong desire that something which recognizes no such word as impossible and accepts no such reality as failure. So if you want whatever it is that you desire in life, like, you cannot accept that it won't happen. It's not a possibility. It might fail. Like, you have to tell yourself it's gonna happen. You have to believe it. You have to know it, feel it. And that's what he's talking about in chapter 2. Chapter 3 is discussing faith, visualizing and believing in the attainment of desire. The second step to riches. So for chapter 3, I'm going to read I'm going to read 3 pages. I'm going to stop at the self-confidence formula. So if you want to hear that, stay tuned for a couple days, okay? Faith is the head of chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into a spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, as in this case of prayer. Faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all the major positive emotions. When the 3 are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into spiritual equivalent, the only form that induces a response from infinite intelligence. Love and faith are psychic, related to our spiritual side. Sex is purely biological and related only to the physical. The mixing of blending of these 3 emotions has the effect of opening a direct line of communication between the finite thinking mind and the infinite intelligence. Faith is a state of mind that may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. As an illustration, consider the purpose of which you are presumably reading this book. The object is naturally to acquire the ability to transmute the intangible thought, impulse, or desire into the physical counterpart, money. By following the instructions laid down in chapter 3 on autosuggestion and chapter 11 on the subconscious mind, you may convince the subconscious mind that you believe you receive what you ask for. It will act upon the belief, passing back to you in the form of faith, followed by definite plans for procuring your goal. The method by which one develops faith where it does not already exist is extremely difficult to describe. Almost as difficult, in fact, as it would be to describe the color red to a blind man. Faith is a state of mind that you may develop at will after you have mastered the 13th step to riches in this book. Making repeated affirmations to your subconscious mind is the only known method of developing the emotion of faith voluntarily. Perhaps the meaning may be made clearer through the following explanation as to the way through people sometimes become criminals. Stated in the words of a famous criminologist, quote, when people first come into contact with crime, they abhor it. If they remain in contact with crime for a time, they become accustomed to it and endure it. If they remain in contact with it long enough, they finally embrace it and become influenced by it. This is the equivalent of saying that any impulse of thought which is repeatedly passed on to the subconscious mind is finally accepted and acted upon. The subconscious mind proceeds to translate that impulse into physical equivalent by the most practical procedure available. In connection with this, considered against the statement, all thoughts which have been emotionalized, given feeling, and mixed with faith begin immediately to translate themselves into their physical equivalent or counterpart. The emotions of the feeling portions of thoughts are the factors that give thoughts vitality, life, and action. The emotions of faith, love, and sex, when mixed in with any thought impulse, give it greater action than any of these emotions can do singly. Not only thought impulses which have been mixed with faith, but also those that have been mixed with any positive emotions or any negative emotions may reach the influence the subconscious mind. From this statement, you will understand that the subconscious mind will translate a thought impulse of negative and destructive nature into its physical equivalent, just as readily as it will act upon through impulses of positive or constructive nature. This accounts for the strange phenomenon to many millions of people experience referred to as misfortune or bad luck. Millions of people believe themselves doomed to poverty or failure because of some strange force in which they believe they have no control. They are the creators of their own misfortunes because of this negative belief, which is picked up by the subconscious mind and translated into physical equivalent. This is an appropriate place I was switched to suggest again that you may benefit by passing on to your subconscious mind any desire that you wish translated into physical or monetary equivalent in a state of expectancy or belief that your transmutation will actually take place. Your belief or faith is the element that determines the action of your subconscious mind. There is nothing to hinder you from deceiving your subconscious mind when giving it instructions through autosuggestion. As I deceived my son's subconscious mind to make this deceit more realistic, conduct yourself just as you would if you were already in possession of the material thing of which you are demanding. When you call upon your subconscious mind, the subconscious mind will transmute it into physical equivalent by the most direct and practical media available. Any order given to it in a state of belief or faith that the order will be carried out. Surely enough has been stated to give a starting point from which one may, through experiment and practice, acquire the ability to mix faith with any order given to the subconscious mind. Perfection will come through practice. It cannot come by merely reading instructions. If it is true that one may become a criminal by association with crime, and this is a known fact, it is equally true that one may develop faith by voluntarily suggesting to the subconscious mind that one has faith. The mind comes, finally, to take on the nature of the influences that dominate it. Under this truth, and you will know why it's essential for you to encourage the positive emotions as dominating forces of your mind and discourage and eliminate negative emotions. A mind dominated by positive emotions becomes a favorable adobe for the state mind known as faith. A mind so dominated may at will give the subconscious mind instructions which it will accept and act upon immediately. Stop with the negative thoughts. All through the ages, religious leaders have admonished admonish struggling humanity to faith in this and that the other dogma or creed. They have failed to tell people how to have faith. They have not stated faith as a state of mind and that it may be induced by self-suggestion. In language any normal human being can understand, we will describe all that known about the principle through which faith may be developed, where it does not already exist. Have faith in yourself, faith in the infinite. Before we begin, you should be reminded that faith is the eternal exlar, which gives life, power, action to the impulse of thought. The foregoing sentence is worth reading a second time, and a third and a fourth is worth reading aloud. Faith is a starting point of all accumulation of riches. I'm going to say that again. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches. Faith is the basis of all miracles and mysteries that cannot be analyzed by the rules of science. Faith is the only known antidote to failure. Faith is the element in the chemical which, when mixed with prayer, gives a one direct communication with infinite intelligence. Faith is the element that transforms the ordinary vibration of thought created by the infinite mind of man into the spiritual equivalent. I thought it was only 2 pages, but I'm going to stop at this last sentence. Faith is the only agency through which the cosmic force of infinite intelligence can be harnessed and used. Every one of the foregoing statements is capable of proof. The proof is simple and easily demonstrated. It is wrapped up in the principle of autosuggestion. Let us center our attention, therefore, upon the subject of self-suggestion and find what it is capable of achieving. So, gotta have faith. And we're not talking about religion here. Okay? You don't have to be religious to have faith. Remember that. I read these books because I really love ASMR. And if I'm going to be taking your guys' time, I want to fill it with either something humorous, I'd like to make people laugh, or something educational and that can benefit you guys, and something that will benefit you, you know, like I don't just want to give you guys bullshit on here. So I really do believe in what it is I'm reading, and I know it's true, and you guys can do whatever you want with this information, and I hope it carries on with you, not just in this moment, but you take it on with you through the night, through the day, through your life. But yeah, I hope you guys have a really good night, a good day, and let's all just keep working at being the best versions of ourselves. Be easy on yourself, but also be hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta give yourself a good kick in the butt, because we've been slacking for too long, been kind of lazy, just not putting all our oomph into what it is that we truly desire in this life. Like the book said, we create our reality. So if you think you're doomed for whatever reason it is, in whatever aspect in your life, that's because you're saying you're doomed. So change your mind, change your mind. Alright, guys, have a good night. Bye.